Well, our study today will go all the way to the book of Hebrews. Let's turn our Bibles now to the text that Elder Caleb read for us. And this morning we studied from the Old Testament. I thought today we study from the New Testament. The book of Hebrews have a central theme. It has to do with the covenant of God, especially the new covenant, and Christ as the great high priest of the new covenant. It's not to say that the old covenant is no good, but the new covenant is superior because Christ himself fulfilled much of the old covenant, and he is the mediator of the new covenant. But as you come towards the end of the book, the penultimate chapter, that means the second last chapter, we're looking at something very practical, something very necessary, something very important, something so needful that all of us, in some sense, should pay great attention to the words of the author of Hebrews. And we do not know who he could be. Maybe it's Paul, maybe Apollos, maybe Barnabas or someone else. Only the Lord knows. But this is a book that's inspired by God. It's a very practical, theological, and needful study. It's written probably just after the destruction of Jerusalem. And it's a book that concerns the Christian life and the Christian walk. Now, the Word of God uses many analogies or metaphors that describe the Christian. We are described as a soldier fighting a race. We're described as a steward serving a master. We're described as an athlete running a race. We're described even in many ways when Paul uses the notion of a Christian serving God in different aspects as a workman, and all kinds of important analogies. One of the very famous book that came out during the 17th century was a book written by a man called John Bunyan from Bedford. And Bunyan was really not a very, important person. He is, what's a thinker man? I don't know whether you have a thinker man in Hong Kong. In Singapore, we call Ananguni. They travel, they pick up all the loose things, the cardboard, and they push around. That's a thinker man in England. And he wrote a book when he was in prison called Pilgrim's Progress. And actually, a lot of which is described is talking about the Christian running a race, going from a place called the city of destruction to a celestial city. And as you go along, he faces various trials, various tribulations. And in some sense, it aptly describes the life of a Christian. So this is where we begin. This afternoon, I'd like to share with you 4 looks. Just 4 looks. And these 4 looks must be put together and it must be considered as a whole because it describes the entirety of the Christian life. And these 4 looks, to some extent, give us certain bearings about how, when we go through life from the city of destruction to the celestial city, and we go to fair meadows and the slough of despair and the castle of fear, as we go and fight Apollyon and go to delectable mountains, we're going to meet with many challenges, but we need these 4 looks so that we may finish well. It's very easy to begin well, but very difficult to finish well. And the Christian race is not a 100-meter dash. It's a marathon. It's more than a marathon. One of the longest marathons in the world is in South Africa. It's called a Comrades Race. It's 90 kilometers. Now, both and my wife, I like to exercise, but honestly, I won't be able to run. Don't talk about 90 kilometers, even 10 kilometers. I don't think I'll be able to last. It's really too long for us. But this describes the Christian race. And here, the author of Hebrews talk about running a race. And in running a race, there are a few things we need to look out for. This is the first look. First look outwards. Look outwards. Where do you get this? Now we see here that, therefore, seeing we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses. How come suddenly this author of Hebrews talk about the fact that we're surrounded, as it were, with people called witnesses that, as it were, encouraging us to run the race of life? I don't know whether how many of you have taken part in a competition. I can't run much, but when in school and college and university, I swim. I represent my school, I represent my college, I represent the Arts and Social Science faculty in swimming competition. And it's very encouraging when you have people cheering you on as you swim. I take part in the 100-meter breaststroke, 200-meter breaststroke, and the 50-meter breaststroke. So that's why whenever I see Olympics or the SEA Games, I always look at the swimming events. I'm very impressed with the swimmers because I know what it's like. It's very difficult to take part in the swimming competition. And I'm very interested in how they fare and the timing. And I'm quite amazed by the advancement in time over these years. You know, some of them can swim 50 meters just below 21 seconds. You know? And I did about 30 seconds. Can you imagine? Firstly, you look around. Why look around and look outwards? What do you mean by this 见证人? Who are these witnesses? Whenever you study a text, you must look at the front and the back, no 上下文. You must look at the front and the back to see the context. So these witnesses must be mentioned before. From where? Chapter 11 is a chapter of faith. It deals with men of God who has lived before us and have gone home with the Lord, from Abraham to Abel, from Moses to Joshua, from Joseph to David, from Solomon to Samson, all the way to today, and many of the prophets. These are the people who run the race. They finished the race. They've completed the race, and they are now in the presence of God. But you know something? Author of Hebrews depict them as challenging us, encouraging us to run on. You know, the country that hosts the games normally do well. You know why? Home ground. Cambodia hosted the SEA Games. They did so much better than the last 3 years. Home ground cheering you. 打气. You have somebody to help you, to encourage you, and to strengthen you. When you run the race, be aware that you're not alone. Sometimes you wonder, you say, we are a small church here, Pastor. Are there any people struggling like us? We seem to be the only church struggling in Hong Kong. Well, maybe. I need to let you know that there are many other churches too, all around the world. In different parts of the world, they are still standing for the Lord. When Elijah fought at Mount Carmel and he won, although he defeated the prophets of Baal, later Queen Sheba wanted to kill, the Queen Jezebel wanted to kill, and he ran away in depression. He was so scared. And he ran all the way from Carmel to Bathsheba. We've been to Mount Carmel, we've been to Bathsheba. It's a very long distance, 150 kilometers. When he finally stopped, the Lord said, I cannot talk to him because he's too tired. Let him rest. After that, they feed him. That's what you do with a depressed person. Don't give them counseling straight away. They need to rest, they need to eat, they need to recover. Then at the right time, the Lord talked to Elijah. And Elijah was so sad. He said, you might as well kill me. I want to die because I'm the only one standing for you. The Lord said, Elijah, I have an announcement to make. There's 7,000 have not bowed to Baal. Elijah got shocked. You mean I'm not the only one? The Lord said, yes. There are many other witnesses I have all over Judah, and they're standing for me. Today, I don't know what you're going through. Maybe you have a problem at home, as someone told me on Friday. Maybe you're struggling with relationships. Maybe you have a problem in the workplace. Maybe your children, or your wife, or your husband, or your mate, or your parents. But I put it to you today. You're not the only one. There are Christian people. They're struggling just like you, just like pilgrims. They're going through a harsh journey. And we need to look around and draw strength for one another. That's the reason why we gather together. There's strength in Christian fellowship and companionship. The strength when we come together and worship together and pray together. And that's the reason why we say, not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, and so much the more, even as you see the day approaching. The gathered church brings strength. Christian people that come together. You see, during the pandemic, we have a big challenge. We're not allowed to worship together. That was a great task. For the first time in my life, I preached to a place that nobody. The deacon said, Pastor, you just speak. We have to record it and we put it up for people to hear. I feel very funny. I'm preaching to nobody as though I'm speaking to someone. Actually, there's nobody in front of me except for the one recording me. And that's about it. And later I got to don a mask. And later I got to wear a shield. And later I got to keep a distance. This all has put a strain on the church, so much so that some people never came back to the church. It's a sad thing, isn't it? But you see, the thing is this: you must cherish Christian gatherings, Christian fellowship. It's so precious this morning when we meet and we have a meal together. And Elder Joseph was teaching us just now. And now we can meet again, maybe on Wednesday again, some other days, whatever the occasion, any opportunity. Think of people that have gone before you. Think of people that are going through together with you. First of all, look outwards. Don't be too conscious of yourself. Altruism is better than egoism. As you look outwards to the people that God has made and created for one another. Faithful men who've gone before us, who run the race, who finished the course. And they're saying, press on. You're studying exam, you say, I don't know whether I can make it through. And then one guy said, I went through that. Go on, don't give up. You can finish this. You can be an accountant, you can be an architect, you can be an engineer, you can be this when you finish your course. Even as we go through national service, we get those who have undergone the training to speak to those before they gone in. They said, what is it like? I said, yes, we went through it. It is tough, but with God, nothing is impossible. You come forward as gold, but you see, we've gone through that. And we know, and we can tell you, if only you hear, if only you cherish the company of believers, it's so precious. And let it be that every one of us be conscious as we look outwards. That's the first look. Remember that. Secondly, besides look outwards, look inwards. Where do we get that? Look at the second part of the verse. Let us lay aside every weight and that sin that so easily beset us. Look outwards, look inwards. What do you mean by inwards? Just how you say, well, to look outwards, now you say we're going to look inwards. Well, they're not contradictory, they're complementary. By look inwards, I'm saying that you need to examine yourself. You're running a race. You need to ask yourself, what did I need to do to run this race? When I was teaching in the Bible college in Singapore, we have a lot of African students, especially from Kenya. You don't look down on the African students. One day we went there to camp to Malaysia and we said, let's wake up for exercise. They said, okay, let's wake up at 6:30. Then this Francis Oyango. I said, okay, I'm going to run with you along the beach. I make a mistake. This guy, he runs so fast like nothing. I said, how come you're so fit? He said, Pastor, in my country, I walk 5 kilometers to preach. I said, if I walk 5 kilometers, I cannot preach. We walk with brother Simon to Stanley. Wow, it's quite a challenge. It's okay. I mean, you have a good, nice walk, but you're going to preach after that. We say, so you get the chair hard, isn't it? But thank God the Lord preserve us and keep us. You know why? You need to examine whether you're fit. Sometimes we carry too much weight, unnecessary weight. He's so slim and tall. No? He said, in Kenya, Pastor, we just walk 5 to 10 kilometers, nothing. I said, here we don't walk. Our MRT is 50 meters, 500 meters apart. You know, he said, oh, that's why I come to Singapore. It's so nice. For us, we just walk. It's no problem, Pastor. I said, wow, I don't know whether I'll survive in Kenya, in Nairobi. But this is it. You need to examine, lay aside every weight. What is the thing that's weighing you down? That's preventing you from following Christ. That's keeping you inhibited from serving the Lord. Is there something? He says that sin that so easily beset us. Another version used the word encumbrance. It breaks you down. It drags you down. This is the thing you do every day. It causes you to be ineffective. You know, you cannot be coming to church and serving and you're gambling outside and you have an affair outside and you're still smoking and I said, don't smoke. After that, you go for a quick smoke because there's a bondage there and you're involved in some bad activity and you're taking drugs. We need to go for a checkup. We need an audit. We need a post-mortem. You know, at this age, you don't want to go for medical checkup because you don't know what you can find. You rather not know. Because after you go for X-ray, CT scan, and well, you got this problem, that problem. the three highs, the high cholesterol, high diabetic, and high blood pressure. He says, say la. Why don't you go and see a doctor in the first place? But yet, in some sense, we must ask ourselves, do we need to examine ourselves? Because we know the early detection and the person that's struggling with a sin that so easily beset us. What is it that bogs you down? David cannot continue to be king if he continues to do what is wrong. Neither can Samson be useful. Neither can any one of us. In other words, we are asked to do something. We are asked to examine ourselves. Now, you turn me to 2 Corinthians 13:5. It's a very strong word now. Watch out for this. 2 Corinthians 13:5. It says, examine yourselves, whether you're in the faith. Prove yourselves. Know ye not yourselves that how Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobate? Hey, are you speaking to Christians in Corinth? How come so strong words? Examine yourselves. Prove yourself. Yes, this is all for Christian people. And Paul says, you need to go for a checkup. Are you still in the faith? Are you genuine? Prove yourself. That means test yourself. You know, sometimes you don't have to test, when I have a call. If I test a positive, I don't want to test ART. You call here RT, RAT. Yeah. I don't want the rat, I don't want to test. But you need to understand that the condition in you needs to be examined and treated and dealt with. The author of Hebrews says, what is that sin that so easily beset us? I know a lot of young people, they're entangled with sin, entangled with problems. Some are stuck to the internet, stuck to the handphone. Some are playing games, some into anime. I know of one young person, she's into anime. Everything is about Japanese anime. I don't understand why, but to them, anime is, this cosplay. One day I was coming back, I saw people dressing in the MRT. I said, wow. Then they say, hey, in Expo, there's a cosplay. The Japanese people are coming down, they're all dolled up, and they all look very different. They're long hair, and they all dress up like some kind of a superhero. But you see, the young people pay a lot. The costume costs $200-300, $6. Nowadays, are only 14 years old, 15 years old, 16-year-old secondary student. I know one student, she paid $300 to watch J-pop, J-pop, Japanese. I don't know what they're doing. They're jumping up and down like monkey to me. But the people pay $300 to hear them. Even you pay me, I won't go because it's wasting my time. Seriously, I get nothing out of it. They're just jumping up and down like But people are enamored. That's caught with it. They love to follow the K-pop, The in thing now is the K-pop and the J-pop. I think Hong Kong got moved away. Now we're seeing Korean show. We're no more seeing Hong Kong show. We're seeing what Hong Kong here. Everything Hong Kong here. Because that's the in thing now. People follow. 6 hours, 8 hours. They watch through the midnight. It become a enslavement. What is it that's taking away all your time? No time to read the Bible, and no time to pray, and no time to come to church, and no time to come for Christian fellowship and Bible study. Where has the time gone to? What on earth are you doing for heaven's sake? What is the sin that so easily besets you? I think Satan is so smart and so clever. I'm not afraid of weapons of mass destruction from Iraq or from Syria. I'm afraid of weapons of mass distraction. That's why I'm afraid. Distraction is a big thing. You're so distracted. When I was in school, I can sit down on a chair. I can sit on the table for 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours without moving and study. Today, you try to do that for class within 45 minutes. Everybody is fidgety. If you speak too long, the mother will pinch the baby cries. It means time to stop. And then on the back, okay, that means 45 minutes is too long. The Puritans used to preach beyond an hour. Today, we can't hardly sit. We are told that attention span is not more than 45 minutes. You're supposed to stop anyway. So I think I broke all the rules this morning. And this is it. We are so easily distracted by the things of the world. Everything that goes out in the internet and the website and social media will want to know, catching up with the Joneses and the Kardashians. Who is interested? Who got married? Who got divorced? Who is interested in the royal family? I'm interested in Christ and Moses and what he taught. Who cares about Charles and about Camilla and about Harry? I mean, they can have their own things. We have more important things in there. Are you caught up, distracted? What is it that so easily besets you that renders you ineffective for Christ today? We need to deal with it. That sin that so easily beset us. Second look inwards. Look outwards, look inwards. Third look. Let's look on to verse 2. Looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. No, before that, let us run with patience the race that is set before us. Look forward. Look forward. Look outwards, look inwards, look forward. A lot of people are entangled with the past. They say that I can't do this because in the past, I took drugs before. I can't do this because I was a divorcee. Therefore, I cannot serve. I can't do this because in the past, I was a failure. I failed in school. Or I got this problem. Yes, it is important we understand our past. It's important that we know that the past needs to be somewhat dealt with. But Satan sometimes binds us with the past. Do you know that God used a murderer? Do you know that Moses is a murderer? Moses killed one Egyptian. Do you know that Abraham is a liar? He lied about his wife. This is my half-sister, to Ahimelech. Do you know that David is an adulterer? Do you know that Samson went to see a prostitute? I'm not saying that all these are right. All these are totally wrong. But God still used them. Do you know that Paul is actually a persecutor of Christians? Even Stephen, he felt guilty, could have died because of him. How can God use this kind of people? I spend my time helping drug addicts. I go to the prison, SF detention barrack, to speak to prisoners, inmates, for the past 5 years. Some of them committed crime. Some of them AWOL, that means they run away from army. A lot of drug cases. Some of them are violence, armed robbery and all. But I told them, when you come out, when you come to know Christ, we don't want to talk about the past. We want to look forward. Do you know that after 5 years in the prison, if you don't have any bad record, it can be erased away? It's important for you to know that. You see, when you see somebody who don't always talk about his past, you know why? Let's turn to Philippians 3:14. The text that just now Elder Caleb looked for us. Philippians 3:14 and 15. 3:13 and 14. It says, Brethren, I count not myself to apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto things which are before, I press toward the mark of the high calling in Jesus Christ. Mark this down. Forgetting what lies behind, I press forward to the things that are before. Look forward. Don't let Satan drag you down with the past. Don't keep looking back. Don't end up like Lot's wife. You left Sodom and Gomorrah, move on. Don't look back. Don't go back to Egypt. Jeremiah told them, never go back to Egypt. You're delivered from gambling and you're still going back to gamble. You're still going back to take drugs. You're still smoking. You're still doing all these things. The past is over. We start afresh. In 2 Corinthians 15, it says, all things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. So when you see someone who's a drug, don't always remind them of their drug. Yes, they have taken drugs, but that was 20 years ago. Unless you're saying that they're still taking drugs today, it's a different thing. That means they haven't got out of it. But our past is over. You want to talk about the past? We all have a past. When you're young, you haven't stolen things before. You haven't fight. You haven't copied a cheat. You haven't shouted at your mother. You beat someone. We all have a past. Who is so good here that has no past? But what did the Bible say? Forgetting what lies behind, I press forward towards the mark. I don't mean that you don't take that seriously. You take the warning seriously. In the past, I fell into sin. Now I have to be careful. But you're not defined by one moment in the past. If like that, then who's going to be president? Who's going to? There's nobody that's qualified to serve anybody, because even the judge, they also have a past, and they're making judgment at high court. Some of them have drank and got drunk, or drink driving, and all kinds of things. Some of them have been divorced. So they're making bad judgment and they're judging us. So what? But the thing is, today, where are you? Are you looking forward? Straight. You know, in swimming competition, we're very distracted when we swim. I like to look at the left and the right, because I want to see who is swimming, how close they are. But I was told by Mr. Lee Chete, my swimming master, never look to the left. You just, when you punch down, there's a black line in the swimming pool. One pull, one kick, I come up. Then you can see the front. You just keep going. You don't care. You know what? In the Olympics, from the first to the last, it's not even 2 seconds. It's just 1/2 second. First to the last, one look is 1/10 of a second. Another look, another 10. You become from second, it becomes 6. Never look left or right. Just look straight at that line. You can see this black line, and you keep going. Then when you cross this, you know you're reaching already. You're going to turn already. So you cross this, you know that within another 5 minutes, one click, you flip and you turn. Never look to the left. I'm always very tempted to see who is on the right, because you want to see who is coming up. But that's a fatal mistake. You got to discipline yourself. You cannot look. You look straight. But I say, Pastor, Mongkok, why? You go to this beautiful Tsim Sha Tsui, Wan Chai, how to look straight. You look left, look right, because there's so many things to look. But you got to look straight. Forward. Focus. Half the time the TV sound, you're going to be distracted. Half the time your phone sound, you do nothing. You achieve nothing. 一事无成, the whole day gone. Look straight ahead. Don't look to the left, not to the right. That was what Joshua told the Israelites. Look to the Lord. Don't look to the left, not to the right. That's our problem, you see. We can't. We're very distracted. Very easily. I remember when we had a Chinese service, in the middle of the service, the phone rang. One of the Chinese brethren went up and picked up the phone and listened. I was so sad, I must control myself. So later we had to tell people. They said, oh, who is it? Is it something important? 不是啊，我的朋友打电话，明天吃饭。For a lunch, but he walked out of the service to pick the call. That friend is more important than his God. I say, you turn off your phone. There's no respect for God at all. One time I was preaching. I put the silent mode. Somebody called me at 11. The thing was shaking all the time, vibrating in my pocket. Shake. I never pick up. Then the guy said, hey, just like I called you at 11. How come you didn't pick up, Jack? I said, I'm in the midst of a service. I will not hear. What's it called? Oh, I want to change your appointment for next week. I'm so glad I didn't pick up. Can you imagine I pick up the phone and that person is more important than God because I interrupted God just to listen to this phone. Some people praying halfway, they can walk out of the prayer meeting to pick up phone. I say, that person that called in is more important than the God he's speaking to. He break the prayer meeting and just to go and listen to the phone. You might as well throw away your phone. I think it's been such a great distraction. People cannot focus. Where in Singapore, people get knocked up to the phone and they cross the road because one guy walking by, he saw that the man was flickering, he walked very fast. The other one just followed him and got knocked down by a car. Because he was just looking at his phone, he just followed the guy in front. And that's how distracted we are. Look outwards, look inwards, look forward. Finally, the last point. Hebrews 13:12, verse 2. In verse 2, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, is now set down at the right hand of the throne of God. Look upwards. Look outwards, look inward, look forward, look upwards. You know, sometimes when we walk on the road, we tend to look on the floor, no? As though there's some money to pick. Always looking. Anybody drop any money? One New Yorker went with a friend to visit a friend in the village. As they walked through the village, the meadows, and they walked to the park, and the friend said, did you see the chirping birds? Do you see the deciduous trees and the beautiful flowers and the butterflies? He said, no. He said, yeah, you're busy looking on the floor. Look up. There's so much to see, but because we keep looking down and we keep looking, at the things of the world, and we never look up. Every time I go to the Choa Chu Kang cemetery to conduct a funeral, I will ask the people, look up. And the Choa Chu Kang cemetery is a big place, so it is an open sky. So everybody look up. I say that, is there a God? We're here in the place of death, the cemetery, but one day the dead shall rise, because there's a God who created the world. For the first time, people begin to see, wow, you mean that is someone that made this world? And we're here bearing this person, and one day it'll be my turn. And Johnson said, fa cai, fa guan cai. He said, one day, Johnson bring a little coffin into the church, and he put in the Lord I Methodist Church. And all the Chinese Tauke, all the bosses, put is preacher is very uncouth. Bring this coffee. We don't like this. The Chinese, we don't like bad omen. No, then go away. And Johnson said, everybody got scared. But it's true that one day we'll end up in the coffin. And what happened to all the Cai? All the Caizu, all the money? What are you going to do with that? When Alexander the Great died, he told the generals, make for me a coffin with 4 holes so that I can stick up my hand and leg. And then why? He said, I want to let the people know I conquered 1/3 of the world, but myself I couldn't conquer. And he died on his way to India. You see, Alexander the Great is a very great general. But one day, one of his generals tell a joke about him. He was so angry, he took a spear and he killed that general who helped him to fight to win the war. And later he said, I regretted. I could conquer so much land, I can't conquer myself. He has a very bad temper. And that's the problem. We need to look up. Learn to look up every day. Look up to the heavens. I know here a bit difficult. You look up, you see 50-story, the title, all the building is a bit difficult. You need to get somewhere. Go to Saigon, walk up the mountains. Just get away from the hustle and bustle of this city life. I know it's not easy. We just need to look up. So vital. Look up to who? Look up to Jesus, because the Lord is in the heavens. He's called the author and finisher of our faith. In the original, it's the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last letter. What did he do? Why must I look up to him? Because he set the example. He endured the cross, despising the shame. The word endure is related to the word patience, that's translated hupomone in verse 1. Sometimes it's translated endurance, so it's translated perseverance. That's what we need today. The problem with us is that we don't have the patience. We can't wait. One boy prayed, Lord, give me patience and I want it now. How to answer the prayer? Sometimes we also like that, We are so impatient. Singaporeans are very impatient. Don't always go the fast lane. Don't always 120 kilometers. Slow down. There's more to life than increasing speed. Some people queue out halfway. They wait so long and they start quarreling with each other because the queue was too long, and they start scolding each other and they start fighting. I remember last time in McDonald's, there used to be a Hello Kitty. You know the Hello Kitty? Do you know people fight one doctor punchment? They all queuing for Hello Kitty, and there was about 100 people queuing, and they can't wait at McDonald's because it was too slow, and people were fighting because we are very impatient people. We can't wait. You wait any longer, we'll shout at you, because this is us. We are so depraved. But one of the qualities of the fruit of the Spirit is long-suffering. And patience is so important that every Christian must learn to develop as we look upward to Christ, because the Lord has set an example for us. The example that he ran the race with patience, looking up to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Do you know what Jesus said? You turn to Luke 21, verse 19. I always marvel at this verse because I wonder what this verse means. It's so important, but yet I couldn't understand this verse. The Lord said, in the end times, you need something. What is it that you need? He said in verse 19, in your patience, possess your souls. Interesting. 你们常存耐心，就必保全灵魂。This 耐心保全灵魂. How is it that the patience can possess your souls? I don't understand this verse. Because in the last days, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be tough. You know, in running a marathon, it's a mental struggle, not physical. Because you're so far away, you say, I mustn't give up, I must keep going. Imagine those running 90 kilometers. Every year I got to run to pass my physical fitness test before I can continue to be a physician. And if you fail, you got to redo it. And every time you run, sometimes you also feel like giving up because you're getting older and older. You're in your 40s. You're not as strong as you used to be. But I keep telling me, I must not stop. I must not stop. No matter how, because once you stop, there's no progress. If you can go slow, you will finish the race. In your patience, possess your soul. I think the pandemic tried our patience. Some of us almost faltered under it. Honestly, some couldn't take it anymore. Some people lose their temper. Some people left their job. Some people go crazy over being quarantined. Can you imagine quarantine for 21 days, 14 days? I mean, it's not something that anyone can take it. But yet, in your patience, possess your souls. Remember that verse. Such a short verse, you know. Only 7 words, but it's everything. When Jesus said that, it means something. Look up to Christ, who for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame. How did the Lord do it? Do you know the cross is how painful? Do you know he was on the cross for 6 hours? Do you know that he was whipped, he was beaten, he was treated with contempt, but he never gave up. He never gave up, and he's now sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. To finish well, you need 4 looks. First, look outwards. Remember there are other people that finished the race. They're running together with you. Second, look inwards. Examine yourself. Audit your life. Do a post-mortem. What have I done right? What have I done wrong? What do I need to start doing this year? What do I need to stop doing this year? Thirdly, look forward. Forward, not backwards. Yes, the past has happened. It's over. Invade the future. Live in the present. Understand the past. Finally, look upwards. Look up to Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. This is the only way to finish the race. There's no other way. If you forget everything that I said, it's okay. Just remember Hebrews 12, 1-4. Just remember the word of God, what it says, and it will be enough. Look outwards, look inwards, look forward, look upwards. 4 exercises you do every day. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we bow before you. Oh Lord, we confess that we failed in the race of life. And many times we gave up because of our sin, the sin that so easily beset us, the encumbrance of this world, the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches, and our work, and all that is on our mind, and the pleasures of this life, the distractions of the world. Oh Lord, save us and give to us a new spirit, that we may run with patience this race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, is now set down at the right hand of God. And so help us, God, as we end this service, as we leave this sanctuary, as we go back into the world, and tomorrow into our workplace, may we never forget the words of everlasting life. that you've given to us this morning and this afternoon, that as Christian soldiers, as athletes of the manifold grace of God, that we may run well and finish well, looking to Jesus, that one day we may stand before you and receive the commendation of life and the everlasting hope. It's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.